Now, you may have heard the story before. You may have heard Reggie father say, "Oh, Suge came to him and told him, and he suggested that he get some cops, but and then Suge told him, yo, whoa, why don't you do it? He's like, oh, well, I can't do it because I'm trying to arrest some of the guys you got over there. You know what I'm saying? But maybe Reggie Jr. could do it. This, that, and the other, right? So we do know that there's some truth to at least Suge and Reggie Sr. had a conversation, or Suge and Reggie Jr. had a conversation that people were scheming on him and that he needed protection, and the um that's how the cops got it death row, right? So we know Suge gave Reggie, whether senior or junior, 300,000 for them to start right way security, and then that's how that whole thing with the police got involved because allegedly, purely hearsay, according to a Crip that was at the outpost the same day that both Reggies, Huey Taylor, Eric, and Percy Perridan sat down together and, excuse me, came up with that plan that they was gonna tell Suge that niggas was scheming on him to get him to hire them so they could make money because they just found out that he got $147 million. Now, allegedly, this had took place in '96 in the Santana block, and once again, just purely hearsay, right? Now, like I said, this person said they was sitting in the booth next to Reggie and it told someone else that they were trying to get Suge, right? And once again, remember all hearsay. I was not there, right? So in July '96, on the set of Gridlock, is where Tupac found out that Reggie was a former cop, allegedly, right? On the set that day was Captain Shaheed Muhammad, and Suge comes on the set with Reggie, and one of the security guards tell uh, Tupac that he don't mess with Reggie because he the police, and they had a beef, right? So Tupac like, what? He the police? He's like, yeah, man, he Compton PD, right? So then they say Suge runs over there and say, nah, man, nah, he ain't the police no more. Nah, he retired, he ain't the police no more. And they saying that's why when Tupac found out that allegedly that Reggie was the police is why he fired Reggie, right? And that's why he only messed with Frank and Michael Moore because Frank was a retired veteran and Michael Moore worked for the fire department because he ain't want no police around him, right? And according to this source, once again, purely hearsay, I wasn't there, that Reggie did not like Tupac and Tupac did not like Reggie. Now, the interesting thing that the source said was that everywhere Suge went, Reggie shadowed him, right? Except for Vegas. Everywhere he said he went, Suge went. Reggie was running behind that nigga like a person holding Beyonce's cape at it on a red carpet event. But when it came to Vegas, he did not seem to want to be around. Now, as big as Death Row was in '96, and if you wasn't around in '96, you may not know. If you was too young to know, then you didn't know. But if you my age, you know how big Death Row was, and you know the reputation that they had, right? So in '96, Death Row was very strong. You know what I'm saying? They were strong before Pac even got there. Pac just made them even bigger, right? But as far as like the gangs and the street stuff that was going on, they was already strong. So with them saying that it was a beef between the mob and the South Side, right? If it was a real beef between them, why would four guys risk going to war with possibly goddamn at least 50 to 100 dudes in Vegas when everybody knew that Club 662 was Vegas, a club owned by the Mall Pirus and Suge or Suge and the Mall Pirus. And Death Row is strong in Vegas. Why would they take a chance to beefing with them out there with one gun? Right? But even in the entourage of cars, the caravan of cars, it was at least 20 people with them right there. Between K Dub in the front, Trayvon next to him, Suge and Pac in the car, Frank and the Outlaws in the car behind them, Neckbone in the car behind them, Buntry in the car, the girls, the dudes, Low and them from OFTB, the guy that took the picture, uh, Craig Mack and them. That's 10 cars right there. If you got two people in each car, you got 20 people right there. And that's just right there on Flamingo and Koval. And you tell me niggas going to go risk running down on these dudes and every goddamn car that's with Sugar them probably got a pistol in it outside of Frank's. When he got jumped, it was at least 6 people jumping on him. So if that's the mob's home, why are these guys risking retaliation in Vegas and all places where there's cameras everywhere? Well, I guess not, because we ain't got no camera footage of the shooting, right? But why would they risk all of that with one gun? Now, same thing with Reggie, right? According to sources, Reggie's always shadowing Suge, always behind Suge, holding his cape, right? Except for this day. Reggie could have had anyone securing Club 662. Like, what was going to happen over at the club that he couldn't be on detail with Suge and them, knowing Pac there's an East Coast, West Coast beef going on, knowing that Pac got beef with buku rappers and you ain't got nobody with them with a gun, or you got 24 to 26 police officers on duty in Vegas. Reggie, right way security had 24 to 26 cops working for him off duty in Vegas that weekend. And they only had Frank on Tupac. And none of the other security guys is with Suge getting all of them up on.